super secret location deep within the mountains of Colorado, it's time to strap up, strap in, or strap on with your host, Shenanigans in One Shot. It's From the Ashes Radio!
Good evening, folks. Sorry, our producer sent me our Carl, which was not the one that was approved, and it's hilarious, and I hadn't read it yet. So, good evening. Welcome to the show. It might appear that we don't have Rob Williams tonight, but we do. He's just smaller and better looking. Other than that, we have an incredible guest tonight. We had the privilege of meeting him, Mr. Producer, man, what was it, a month ago? 3 weeks ago, something like that, at an event. They're doing some incredible work with TBI, concussionary syndrome things, some next level stuff, and having some next level results from it. I'm jumping on the bandwagon myself. Rob, go ahead and say hi to everybody. Introduce yourself a little bit better than I did.
Okay. I am the 100-pound less, 2-inch shorter version of Rob. I have been his kid for 23 years and change.
22 years and change. Yeah, probably something like that.
Something like that.
I love how you're picking up your phone. Are you getting your notes to see like your personal info, your bio? You need your notes for that?
No, I am not. I'm actually pulling up things you sent me to make sure I don't screw those.
Oh, screw those up? No,
Yes.
You're good. That's for much later. Don't worry. Okay, so man, this one is a good one, but this one's going to be quick. You need to add the other Carl in, the good one. We have such a good Carl for this week. We'll go over them both, but either way, how was your week? How was your dad's week? He's not talking to me.
I haven't talked to him much either.
What a turd.
Say the most I've talked to him is he keeps sending me stuff about the SIG 320 and the feds losing the authority to carry those, and then seeing them listed on gun sale sites for less than $500.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew nothing about this. What are you talking about?
So I think it's all the lovely 3-letter agencies that the world loves.
Yeah.
They took their agents and said, you are no longer allowed to carry the SIG P320 because of the random discharges.
Okay.
You are now required to carry the Glock 19X that you were issued.
Okay.
And he sent me.
So you can get a SIG for cheap.
Yes, he sent me.
Are you a SIG guy? Do you like SIG?
No. Depends. SIG rifles, yes. SIG handguns, no. The wall before the break of the trigger is too long for me. But this is one that you can find on
this fucking guy and his mute button.
Any trade. It's an agency trade-in. SIG 320 full size for $350.
That's insane. Yeah.
That was a Twitter post.
That is.
And the next thing right after that, right before I don't have it still, was a photo of a dude whose 320 went off and went through his steering wheel.
Oh, I've never had a SIG.
Smart.
I've shot a lot on a SIG AR platform once. Just like one of my buddies I shot with a lot had one that was pretty nice. But other than that, I haven't. But I think that's comical. It's very comical. Pretty comical.
I know most law enforcement agencies are getting rid of the 320 as well.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that carries it anyway.
I knew a couple.
I would say because you're in the line of work.
I am, and a couple of my
you don't have to divulge where or anything like that. But Junior is not military, but he does wear a uniform, and he does in some form of Leo. He's like a renedick for a mall, but either way, he's in that stuff.
A couple of my coworkers were transitioning from the M&P 2.0.
Okay,
they bought a SIG 320. And a week later, we were told we were no longer allowed to carry it.
That's funny.
So, and the person went on vacation. We swear they were probably testing mouthfeel.
Yeah.
With that M&P. They were so pissed.
That's funny. Oh, okay. So let's get to our Carls. We'll do the first one is this one that Mr. Producer Man put up. I like saying Mr. Producer Man. It's kind of funny.
Very
All
official.
right, let's see here. Coast Guard looking into
Let's go, Puddle Pirates.
air crew that drew remarkably detailed genitals in the sky. So from Task and Purpose, it happens every now and then, and it may have happened again Monday. A military air crew on a long flight appears to have passed the time by sketching genitals across the sky. So if you look at their flight pattern on like the screen, their flight pattern is definitely not unintentional. Have you seen it yet?
I saw the photo. You got the nice third grade drawing.
I mean, it's a third grade penis, but it's definitely a penis, folks.
You got the first one, and then you got the second.
It's also, I mean, it looks like they were so into their craft. They did a small practice one. Look, they did a small practice one.
Yep.
And then they did the big one with the balls and the ejaculation.
And it's a detailed tip, which is what you got the third grade, circle and line.
Yeah, but they did the head and they really did good. It's impressively good. I wonder if you get in trouble for that. Also, like the type of people generally that are pilots don't get in trouble. You have to like do some real dumb shit when you're a pilot. Like they get like it's the pilot. What are you gonna do to them?
Don't they go over their flight path prior to flying?
Yeah.
So
so I'm sure there's got to be some shit, but I mean, where'd it go? This action holds 0 optional value. We are looking into the incident and will hold the responsible personnel accountable.
Sure, they will.
Okay, hold on. A Coast Guard spokesperson said, I quote, "The Coast Guard holds its air crews to the highest standards, and we find this absolutely unacceptable."
Sure they do.
I think it's fucking hilarious. There's not a single person that didn't laugh at that
No.
when they saw it.
100%.
All right. Let's see. Did he put it in? I don't know. You didn't even put an article in. Did you put an article in? No, I don't have an article. I don't need a fucking article. Folks, did you see that Tim Kennedy is a stolen valor fuck?
Yes, I did. Lied about his Bronze Star.
Yeah.
With valor.
Look, you know what's really fucking crazy is amongst all the things that I've like brought up before, and the reason I brought this up is because it gives me an opportunity to joke and make fun of Joel Cunt. But besides that,
all that line coming.
Oh yeah, he's going to get brought up a whole bunch. The other reason is this isn't uncommon.
Really?
Like, I mean, it's stolen valor like Tim Kennedy's is not uncommon. I find this all the fucking time. I see people I know that are like, "Oh, this happened." I'm like, "Bitch, I was there." And I don't know, the thing that baffles me, and I think Tim is the exact example of what baffles me, is why. That fucking dude has a pretty legit ass career. He's done some pretty big things. He continues to do some really big things. Why do we feel the need? And I'll say we, because I think it's so prevalent that it's part of the culture of veterans. I don't want to say part of it and everybody's doing. I'm not saying everybody's doing. I'm just saying it's so common that I want to know why. Why do we as personnel feel like we need to tell fish and fucking stories? Like, if you're a cook that's never deployed and you're in a group of civilians and you say that's all it takes. You don't have to tell them you're a Ranger, SEAL, Special Forces cook. You can just say I was a cook.
Most people will think, hey,
and they're like, that's dope, bro.
Military's badass.
Like,
just saying you're in the military.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cool.
But then we have guys like Tim Kennedy. Dude's an SF guy. He's a group guy, right? He's fought in the UFC at the highest fucking level, top 10 fighter, right?
Oh yeah.
He's fucking done all these things, right? Huge accomplishments, right? Lots of decorations, lots of awards. Why do we have to make up one? Why don't you just talk about the ones you do have?
I'm uncultured and don't know. What is a Bronze Star given for?
It's like doing a good deed, but it's a bigger good deed than a good service medal. He said it was with valor, which means whenever you have a V device on any award, right? It means you did it in like the utmost value. So it's not just a Bronze Star. It's like the utmost, like it was in like some holy shit moment. It wasn't just like he did some big shit. He did some big shit in like the craziest and wildest of ways. So the V device is kind of like the kicker where I'm like, you didn't just say you had a Bronze Star. You threw that V device in there too, didn't you? You know? So I don't know. But here's the thing is, you know, this isn't the only thing he's in question for.
I know he's got a lot because
there's a lot.
He went on a podcast, said he's not going to write the book like every Navy SEAL.
Or SEAL,
then, like,
sorry. I said, yeah.
Every Navy SEAL. And then was it like a year or two later? Hey, here's my book.
Right.
You know, and people are reading lines in it and like, you never did this. You never did this. His own team calling him out. You never did this.
Or, you know, he's got a lot of things that he markets. A lot of things that he's part of business wise. And a lot of it is based on stories that he tells. And one of them in particular is about his house being robbed, right? Or broken into, right?
And that's where was it sheepdog response came from?
Yeah.
For him?
Yes. And that's a big part of that company.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at those police reports pretty easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the police reports and you look at like his shit, and I'm like, dude, like, but again, this is me not trying to attack him too much. Okay. Yeah. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think you know, saying you shot the dude at 300 meters rather than 200, fine. You know, the fish was 20 inches, not 15. Fine.
She was a 7.
You did not have a Bronze Star, or you did not. Right. It's not like I caught the fish. It's a little bigger.
Yeah.
You know, it's like blatant fucking lies. But either way, I don't want to attack him too much because I think it's so common. I want to understand what creates that feeling inside of veterans, especially, like, I don't want to say especially because I don't care. Again, if you're a fucking cook that's never deployed, you still sign the dotted line. I don't give a fuck. Okay. But there are, you know, again, so I don't want to say especially, but especially those like him that have a career like his in that not regular military life. Do we need to exaggerate? Why do we need to make things up? And there's a bunch of them doing it. The motherfuckers doing it all the time. Okay. Why? Now in particular, one of the reasons I like, again, I'm not really attacking the guy, is he immediately is like, I don't fucking have one. I don't know why I did that. I'm a jackass. Okay. Now there's only one that I've seen confronted like him where like he continues his fucking lie, and that's Joel Cunt. But I mean, it's pretty embarrassing when you're like, you don't have a Purple Heart. If you do, show your DD-214. He's like, well, I don't, but I do, and I can't show you my DD-214. Fuck you, dude. But anyway, Tim Cook took it. Anytime somebody's been busted out, usually I've seen some dudes busted out in groups of brothers and shit. We're like, bro, that didn't fucking happen. Like, okay, well, you know, I like telling stories and fucking civilians and shit. We're like, knock it off, you know? But either way, it's so common. Mr. Producer Man, do you have an explanation? Do you have a thought behind this? Why is it? Why is that need felt?
Well, do you see it in other social groups?
Of course.
The need to overinflate, the need to over exaggerate your worth.
Yeah, fishermen
everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I guess.
I think it's just a common human thing. It just sucks that military people don't have the wherewithal or bearing to not forego that path.
You know what? I think without intending to say what something you really popped off on something, because you're military personnel. I think of you to be real black and white on things, because we are very black and white, especially on what we are and what we've done.
Yeah, it's what you earned there.
Yeah.
And it's a higher standard.
Absolutely.
I think military, even first responders should
have that too.
Held to.
Yeah. In particular to what you've done, awards and things like that. And it's hard to explain why I think that needs to be so much more tight or so much tighter than other things where, you know, you don't get to stretch the truth there. It's either fucking yes or no.
I was always told growing up, the guys that did the cool shit that Tim Kennedy's talking about, they tell you they push paper.
Yeah.
They don't want to tell you about that stuff. The guys that push paper will tell you they did that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Tim Kennedy was pushing paper,
Mm-hmm.
because he was decorated in a lot of things, did a lot of cool stuff when he was in.
Yeah.
But
Needed that little
that little edge, and I personal opinion, I think it's because he wants to keep his brand up.
I
Like,
know,
he is this
but
guy, but
it definitely seems money motivated.
yeah,
I think he is very hustler, business oriented. Again, not hating on that, man. Fuck, get your grind on, bro. It's cool. Whatever. I'm not gonna say that there's anything wrong with that, but I think using certain things just makes those more moral things pop up where I'm a judgmental fuck. So,
And where do you think the apology came from? Was that forced?
well, dude, you got busted out. You know you got to apologize then, unless you're Joel Hunt, and then you're like, oh, I don't have to. I'm just gonna ride this story.
double down.
Right, I'm double down on this shit. You know.
Still running my show after getting called out.
but you know, did he have an option? What was his option? He's in the public eye. He's like so much that like this was the only option, and he did the smart move. So, you know, it is what it is. All right. Yeah, let's do it. Look, you have to keep me on time. I am 45 seconds here. Sam, what's up, bro? How are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good. And you know, I was backstage listening to your guys' conversation. Promise I wasn't being voyeuristic, but you know, I think that there is that bit of honesty that's required when lives are on the line, and that's, you know, kind of the whole business of the military: close and engage with the enemy. It's the same in the first responder community. You know, we're not going out and just killing people, but you're saving lives, and lives are always on the line when you're in a scenario where you're at work. And there's a certain amount of integrity that gets beaten into your skull when you're in that position that lives are on the line. And when someone, you know, steps over that and pretends like there's something they're not, that calls into question everything.
It does. And you know what I think that why it becomes more upsetting to me as a veteran is because when we were active and somebody did some dumb shit around like that, it would get sorted out immediately. Like, it's just not allowed. You don't like walk around like puffing your chest out saying things that aren't true, because it's really easy to check in the military. You know, it's really easy to check out. You know, when you're out of the military, you get this thing called DD 214. So, oh yeah, and I forget, Sam's EOD. This guy we keep talking about, this guy named Joel Hunt. That's a fake Stolen Valor Purple Heart guy. He's also a Stolen Valor for saying he was in EOD.
You know, every combat engineer and their mom says they're an EOD tech, so I'm used to
it. Somebody else.
Oh yeah, I did some EOD shit back in the day. Like, oh yeah, you touched the deck cord one time, huh? Oh, that's
They
cool.
put out meat
You
locker.
rode in a deuce and a half with some EOD guys. You know. All right, Sam.
I got to touch some C4 once.
let's get going, bro.
Do it.
For those of you out there who don't know Sam, my friend Sam, tell us a quick bit, a minute or two of your military career, how you came in, something like that, and then I'll bring you into where you're at now with Mindspa, doing all your big cool things.
Yeah. So my name's Sam J. Peterson. I was an EOD technician, an EOD team leader in the Army Bomb Squad. I actually do have a Bronze Star. It does not have a V device.
Nice.
But when you deploy with special operations and you're like high enough attaché, they like give them out for a post-deployment award. So it wasn't that cool. And that's probably where Tim got his too. Yeah. And so I'm
glad we had you on. I said before you came on, I was like, dude, this is gonna be one of those easier nights. I've met Sam. This will be an easier guest. We won't be pulling teeth to get good conversation in.
Yeah. So, you know, was EOD for almost 7 years, 2 combat deployments to Afghanistan, then turned around and did one as a contractor. And that's what got me into mental health. EOD has one of the highest suicide rates of any job in the DoD. And that's because we're constantly bombarded with explosive blasts. So, you know, that was something that brought me into this. Like, I'm here sitting in front of you because I, you know, had a bunch of friends intervene when I was at my darkest moment. And it was these treatments that I'm sure we're going to talk about that got me on the straight and narrow. And like, I finally was able to get my life together and deal with the transition out of the military and finally make something of myself in the civilian world. But yeah, man, it was this brotherhood and the pain that this brotherhood is in that brought me to where I am here today.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, you're EOD for more than 10 minutes. You have concussionary syndrome, TBI. So that led you into your mental health and diving off the deep end on educating yourself how to take care of yourself, and led you to what you're doing now. Do you want to fast forward?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was mostly getting Dear John in Afghanistan that sent me over the edge. And you don't have to be a fucking you don't have to be a fucking EOD tech to have that happen.
No,
you don't. There's many of us, but yeah. So you just like you said, man, you teed it up there nicely. I really dove into learning about all this stuff because of all the issues that I was seeing with my buddies around me. And so I got into studying what the actual root cause of traumatic brain injuries are, because I watched so many of my friends just get pumped with SSRIs and told to go to talk therapy, and they just kept getting worse. And so the more I dug in, the more I was like, wait a second, this isn't that hard. Treating a brain injury is not that difficult. You just have to understand the root cause. And so I found the experts in the field, and then ended up, starting a nonprofit to pay for veterans to get more effective care for TBI, and doing pre and post nuclear SPECT scans to show that their brains had actually healed. And it turns out we found a couple ways that work really, really well. And it's been ever since that initial push with the nonprofit, it has been building these companies and these systems that will create access to care for more veterans and first responders to get access to brain health treatment that actually works.
That's awesome. I like, the way you broke that down is so much how I try and break down everything. I think that's because of my jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I apply jiu-jitsu to everything. Everything's problem solving. There has to be a reason. What is the cause? What caused the issue? And what is the real issue? And you're right.
Yeah,
these fucking talk therapies and all these weird things are doing for TBI. I'm like, bro, there is something physically, medically wrong with part of my brain. If you understand how TBI works, like those aren't helping.
No, they can't.
And I feel like we've been lost in the sauce for the last 20 years, pretty much. We've been getting there recently with some things a little bit, but for the last 20 years, we've been lost in the sauce trying to have these fucking guys sit in a circle, hold hands and sing Kumbaya to kickstart half their brain being shut off.
Yeah. You can sing Kumbaya until you get fucking dementia and die.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening in your brain. And that's one of the things that pisses me off about a lot of traumatic brain injury treatment protocols. I'm going to use some really fat air quotes there, because at the end of the day, if you are not addressing the underlying neurobiology of this disorder, you are wasting the patient's fucking time.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
Then, like, at the end of the day, like, deal with the inflammatory cascade in the brain, or get the fuck out of the way so someone else can.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you're doing differently, and the results that you're having.
Yeah. So everything that we do at Mindspa, it centers around a couple of really core principles. Is one, we need to downregulate inflammation in the brain. Your brain is in a constant state of inflammation whenever you are dealing with PTSD, depression, anxiety, or TBI. There is inflammation that's going on in the prefrontal cortex, and it is shunting off your ability to think. And whenever you have that background level of inflammation, there's something we need to remember is the blood vessels in your prefrontal cortex, like the executive functioning center, that's in charge of telling your brain not to have a panic attack and not to get stuck in the depression hole. That area of your brain, that blood flow gets shunted off by inflammation because the blood vessels are so small. When that happens, when there is no longer the ability to get red blood cells to the tissue, our brain cells don't just die. They have to switch over to their backup method of energy creation. So the primary method is called cellular respiration. It's like breathing. It's a pretty efficient way to make ATP. Doesn't have a lot of off-gassing, a lot of nasty shit that happens because of it. when we lose our oxygen, our ability to use oxygen to make ATP, our cells, they switch over to another process that's called anaerobic glycolysis. This is, my friends, is how cancer cells make energy. It is a fermentation process using glucose, and it causes a lot of nasty shit. It causes a lot of cellular detritus to be put off. It's a dirty way of making energy. If cellular respiration is burning natural gas, then anaerobic glycolysis is burning like an old coal stove. Imagine all of that shit going into the atmosphere and kind of sitting around the cells around it. It creates a neurotoxic environment. And again, I mentioned the cancer cell thing. That's really important. If we look at the number, the risk of developing brain cancer after a traumatic brain injury, what do we see? Hugely elevated rates. Why? Because we're making a cancer permissible environment by cutting off blood flow. So first thing we got to do, we got to take that inflammation down. We got to restore blood flow as much as possible. And then using something like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, we have to flood the brain with oxygen. So now your cells can create enough energy to clean up all the crap that has been laying around. The next thing we want to do is increase neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is a fancy word for getting your brain cells that are still alive to branch out and create new connections. Imagine like thinking differently. Things that increase neuroplasticity, ketamine, psilocybin, any of your classical psychedelics is one of the reasons that these classical psychedelics have been getting such a huge resurgence in mental health treatment, and they've been shown to be effective, is because they're increasing that neuroplasticity. They're allowing us to think in new ways. And then the last piece is that, neuroplasticity is not a good or a bad thing. It is neutral. We have to harness that neuroplasticity to do things. So that's where your talk therapy comes in, your culturally competent talk therapy, because you need to be talking to somebody who has walked in the same combat boots as you, or is at least trained in how to treat veterans and first responders. Last thing you want to do is walk into a therapist's office and have them cringe when you told them about the nasty shit you had to do in Iraq. So, or when you put all these,
not just cringe, but have that really confused, disturbed look when you're explaining to them what you did, because they don't understand when you tell them the nasty shit you did. And they're like, I don't get what you're saying. Can you explain that? I'm like, you don't want me to. And they're like, but I need to, so I understand. I'm like, okay, let me traumatize you.
When they can't relate to what you've been through.
Yeah. So no, I totally agree.
Yeah. So when you put all these things together, when you take down the inflammation, you increase the neuroplasticity, and you increase the amount of energy that your cells have to heal, you get really great results. What we've seen with patients going through some of the programs that I've started is they can reach full symptom remission. So that's symptom remission from depression, anxiety, and PTSD. I'm defining that because, if anyone's a physician or a therapist watching, like, I want you to know this is not me being blusterous. This is based on real data. So, what we observed was a PHQ-9 of over 20, a GAD-7, which is the anxiety scale. PHQ-9 is the depression scale. GAD-7 over 20. These are in the severe, to moderately severe ranges. These guys are coming in, they're getting treated, and within 14 to 17 days, they're no longer qualifying for the diagnosis based on those markers. And then afterwards, after 45 days of treatment, we did a neuropsych assessment on the front end and the back end, and we saw some pretty remarkable changes. The first thing was guys with post-traumatic stress. We saw their executive function increase on average about 40%. For our TBI patients, and these are guys who, have had serious post-concussive migraines, brain fog, issues controlling mood, and really having their lives falling apart, walking through life with just in a malaise, we saw those guys increase their executive function on average 125% over 45 days.
Yeah, absolutely insane numbers.
Yeah, man. It's now it's just we're playing the treat more people, collect more data, so we can
right.
Yeah, I always say, like, bring it into my little data forge, pound it into a spear, and then yep. Pick it up and jam it down the VA's throat.
Yes. Oh, I enjoyed
Well,
our
we're gonna make change.
conversation about that. Yeah. And it's like, I literally just have to keep getting more for them and keep showing them and keep making them look at it.
Oh yeah, that's how all of, and then putting this in the hands of other people who are going to advocate for it. You know, we talked to a number of, you know, larger veteran organizations who are really excited about this data. They want to see more, and we're doing our best to just create access to care. So, you know, right now I'm about to do a 30-day brain transformation challenge. So it's a small N, but we're taking, you know, 4 to 5 veterans and first responders who normally would not be able to pay for this stuff, who have these serious conditions. We're treating them for free, and I'm going to cram that entire protocol into 20 business days, 30 calendar days, and we're going to change these guys' brains in 30 days and collect all the data.
That's amazing.
Yeah, just to show that we can.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of us that have lived in that silent, desperate state, just wishing that God or some other deity would come down and either kill us or make things better. And I got to tell the people out here listening that are dealing with this stuff that, like, doesn't have to be that way. We can fix this shit, and we can fix it relatively quickly.
Yeah, like way quickly.
A month's not a long time.
No, not at all. Not when you've been dealing with it for 20 years, 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Oh, Rob's
I just saw the
yeah,
feed.
he started popping off. I guess he's listening.
Too late.
Yeah, it's okay. Every time we've had somebody come in studio to fill in for him in his vacations, we've rigged his chair so that the next time he comes in, something happens. So, you know,
I did notice there's a little bit of a power play going on here. Like
there is. Well, what happened was Rob originally bought us new seats, and he cut mine an inch shorter than his. And so we're sitting there. I'm like, hey, bro, that's some bullshit. Right. So I went and bought a nicer chair, and I fixed the height problem. And you've been around us. You know, I'm significantly taller than Rob. So I had to make sure it showed on film. And his son's the exact same height. So, you know, either way. Sam, that is
aggressively passive aggressive.
That's me in a nutshell. Sometimes not passively, but either way. That again, I told you this, you know, when I met you, but I hear a lot of different programs and a lot of different things. Yours is one of the ones that goes after things the way my mind works and thinks. Where you're not trying to. When somebody has a broken bone and the VA sends them to PT, it doesn't make sense to me, right? It doesn't make sense to me to send somebody to a therapy group when there's part of their brain that's not working, right? And so when you were talking about, you know, we're trying to get this part of the brain working again, we're increasing blood flow here. You started talking about the stem cells, which I want you to talk about here in a minute. I'm gonna bring that up here in a minute. Yeah. But the stem cells and how many red blood cells are flowing and how much you can create and all those different things. And then talking about the inflammation, I was like, wait, you're taking this to a scientific approach of how to change the actual thing that changed. Not try and deal with it. And I think that most programs are designed around, let's deal with your TBI. Let's not work on fixing it or improving it. Yeah. You know, even if we don't fix it, let's at least work on it being better and maybe dealing with it better. Yes, of course. But let's work on the problem too. You know, if you've got a flat tire, let's not learn to drive better with a flat tire. Let's fix the tire too. You know, like what the fuck?
I like that. So I like that a lot.
Right? I mean, it really is that. And I think that is so much to healthcare in the VA. And my perfect example is the PT thing all the time. Like they'll do an MRI and they're like, hey, your meniscus is in 2 fucking pieces. But before we repair it, I need you to go to fucking PT for 12 weeks. Motherfucker, I can't PT a meniscus back into 1 piece. It's in 2. You know, like their things are always like, you know, let's deal with it or let's push it off rather than just fixing the problem, which you know as well as I do. If these TBI guys, the first time they came in, immediately started getting treatment on fixing what is actually broken, we would save millions upon millions of dollars in our VA system, because all these useless things that we're doing repeatedly and paying and paying and paying for to deal with it, to keep it rather than fix it is craziness. So let's talk about
let's talk about why. Well, let's talk about why first.
Okay.
It's really important to understand like where the roadblocks are. Like our entire veteran community needs to hear this so we can like take action, because there are one of the biggest reasons that we don't have like hyperbaric oxygen therapy protocols immediately after TBI. And the data has shown, look at Israel. They are so far ahead of us. It's ridiculous. If you look at the data, if someone is able to get into a hyperbaric chamber and, you know, that's not a penetrating head wound, like if it's a closed concussion and they're able to get into hyperbaric within a couple of days of having that head injury, the results are significantly better and faster. It's called the golden hour protocol. And you're talking, I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's significantly less than if you wait 10 years and try to treat it with what we're doing. So, and the reason that the DOD and the VA don't like hyperbaric oxygen therapy is because of 3 studies. They were, one was done by the Navy, one was done by the Air Force, one was done by the Army. And I would love to talk to more of the people who wrote these so I can ask them to hand me their PhD so I can rip it up in front of their fucking face. Because they committed the most egregious type 2 error I've ever seen reading a study. Type 2 error, for anybody who doesn't know, is failing to see a trend in the data and prescribing it to something like the placebo effect. And that's exactly what happened. There were these 3 studies. They were all sham control studies. So they had a sham group that went down to pressure, breathing in room air, which by the way is a therapeutic intervention. And then they had the treatment group that went down to pressure and breathed oxygen. In all 3 studies, the participants who did both got better, and they called it the placebo effect. And no, it's not the placebo effect. It's Henry's law of chemistry. A gas will diffuse into a liquid at a given rate. If you increase the pressure on that gas, it will go into that liquid even more at that same given rate. Why am I saying this? Because your blood gets hyperoxygenated when you go into the chamber because you're breathing in oxygen under pressure. So even if it's not concentrated oxygen, you're still increasing the oxygenation that you're getting by at least 2-fold.
You're still going to feel better.
Well, dude, I go down and so our natural atmosphere is 22% oxygen. We know that we need oxygen to make ATP. Okay, cool. You go down in the chamber to pressure, and at 2 atmospheres, just in that chamber that you just showed, the ambient oxygenation in that chamber is 55%. So you've more than doubled the amount of oxygen you're breathing in just from being down at pressure. Now let's not even, and that compounds with the fact that pressure is forcing more oxygen into your blood plasma, which helps you create more stem cells. Like, guys, it's wild. Here's what we can, you want to improve veterans' mental health? Let's get these 3 studies, and I can send them to you so you can stick them in the show notes. Let's get these 3 studies pulled off the damn shelf. They're in a Pentagon memo that's literally keeping veterans sick right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's stupid. I hope it's just, in fact, I hope it's just stupid, because otherwise it's
because otherwise it's
criminal.
Yeah. But how much criminal things are going on right now in our country's politics and government and culture.
I don't know if we want to go down that road.
No, listen, we have only had our show. Canceled. We have only been canceled once, and it's literally we had a guy who was on the campaign trail with Trump. He was part of his campaign. We did not have him on the show for that. It had nothing to do with that. We were talking about this nonprofit for veterans that he did, but then he said we were asking him about a couple things that we had received and like things that he had in his office. He's like, I got those from the campaign trail. And we're like, oh. And he said, yes, I'm on. It was like he talked about it for a few minutes. It wasn't even the show. And they fucking pulled that show, disappeared and like won't stay up. It's fucking hilarious. So,
Wow.
and we try to stay away from politics, but it wasn't even like a political show. It was just one of our guests happened to be part of the campaign and nothing to do with the show. And they're like,
it just happened to be something on his wall.
Yep.
Wow.
So we said the TRUMP letters, aligned in that order too many times in a row, and they yanked our show. Pretty funny, but
well,
whatever.
Don't
Either way,
worry about that for me. This is
either way, but we know that there's historically, especially in our medical system, we are a medical system of keeping you sick and treating, the symptoms rather than the problem, so that we can keep making money. Okay, we have, as a country, done that for long enough and enough times to where we see it. That is part of the blood that we fucking have going through our veins, I guess. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's something behind that. Like maybe Pfizer's like, hey, that's going to eliminate 3 of my drugs that I make a lot of money on, and I pay the fucking government fucking salary. So, hey, it is what it is. So, it sucks, but, I hope you the best on getting this more in the face to the point where they can't say no. And I think that's the only way where, they're going to get to the point where they can't say no, because there's so much success and there's enough people there that it's going to have to happen, So
it's an eventuality. We're going to keep pushing on this until this happens. We've already created, our TRICARE program. Once TRICARE's paneling issues get fixed, because that's a whole nother TED talk. But as soon as we're back, we're able to fire up our TRICARE program again, we're going to be pumping out these numbers like crazy. Because if someone, our TRICARE program, just for anybody listening who's interested in this, if you get approved for transcranial magnetic stimulation, that's 3 failed antidepressant meds and TMS's MRI technology that allows us to increase the density of neurons in your prefrontal cortex. It's approved by the FDA for depression. Yep. So once this thing's back online, anyone who qualifies for TMS through TRICARE, we give away that many treatments of hyperbaric oxygen therapy in that chamber that they just had up, and 6 sessions of ketamine infusion therapy for free. All you have to do is pay your TRICARE copay. If I could pay that for you, I would, but it's illegal. So we're going to see a big influx of veterans who, have TBIs with comorbid depression and are going to have access to, honestly, from what I've seen anecdotally, one of the more effective treatment protocols for TBI that's ever come out.
Super cool. Well, Sam, I'm not going to try and take all your time, even though we could probably bullshit all night long.
Totally good.
Let's do this. I know you well enough to know that you had some things you were planning on talking about. So if there's any of them we skipped over, if there's anything we missed, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes. Just try and, pop off on anything that we skipped over you think might be important. Do me a favor. Remind everybody of your clinic handles for social media, things like that, so people can follow and get some information and some learning from you. Hopefully come in and get some treatments. And then I'll shut up for a couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, man. So our clinic is called Mindspa Denver. It's down in the little tracker thing right here. So mindspadenver.com. If you're interested in all, just go to our contact us page, shoot us a message. Those messages go directly to me. Again, we're here in the Denver area, but we're working on, increasing our licensure to the rest of the country right now. The biggest message I have for anyone who's listening, like if you're struggling with these mental health disorders, depression, anxiety, PTSD, or traumatic brain injuries, the stigma that exists right now, I really think is there because people aren't aware of these more effective treatment options. It's not like if you get a broken arm, everyone's going to think of you as broken arm guy for the rest of your life because we know how to heal a broken arm. Well, guess what? We've got really effective treatments for these other broken arms that exist in your brain too. So if you're struggling with, the idea of going out and getting treatment, realize that there are places, not just my clinic, but there are places doing really awesome stuff around the country where you can go even if you can't afford treatment. There's places like the 22 Project or Heal Our Heroes that are doing some amazing work with TBI, PTSD, depression, and anxiety. So first of all, you're not alone. And second of all, we have the tools to change your brain. As long as you're there and you bought in and you are willing to do the work. And when I say do the work, I mean, get into some seriously culturally competent talk therapy and get down to the root cause of some of these issues, help rewire your brain. You absolutely can. I've seen it time and time again where we have brought in people who had no more hope, who had woken up every single day for the last 20 years with a migraine. And this was their last stop. And I've been there for treating many of these cases. And what we see time and time again is if you show up to these treatments, they work. They've worked for me. They've worked for a ton of people that I'm adjacent to and that people we've treated. So just know that 1, you're not alone. 2, you're not stuck this way for the rest of your life. And 3, there is hope.
I love it. I really, really do. Thank you so much, Sam. Thanks for being on. We'll stay in touch.
Right on, guys. Thanks for
Take
having
care,
me.
brother. Absolutely. Mr. Producer, man, you got to meet him. What'd you think?
I like him.
Pretty cool. I told you the work that he's doing is of sound mindset, right? It's just that tire example is the only way I can explain what I always try and say. Like, everybody is just always trying to, like, oh, we'll take care of your runny nose. No, motherfucker, I want to get rid of the whatever's making that runny nose. And our country is too much on symptoms than actual root causes, and he's the opposite, which I appreciate.
I like it. And this will dime out where I work, but we used to be able to have unlimited free mental health. Go talk to a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
We had a officer take his own life. And then 2 months later, they rolled out that they are cutting down our mental health fund from unlimited for the first responder himself to only 12 sessions per year.
Huh. No, that's it. Let's not respond.
1-hour sessions.
Let's not respond with helping out and giving more. We're going to cut back.
Yeah.
Allie, what's up, homie?
What's up? Hi, guys.
What you doing?
Hello.
So I am in a conference all week. So not every single, but a lot of the NACVSO, the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, it's our annual conference. So most of us are in Louisville, Kentucky. I chose not to go to Kentucky because fuck that place. So I'm in Massachusetts, but I am watching virtually. And two things happened today. The Undersecretary of the VA was there and gave a whole presentation. And he said, despite what you hear on TV, we're not coming for your benefits. And I said,
no,
that's what he said. And I recorded it, made a TikTok about it. I was in that session when he said it. And then second, a lot of veterans ask me and ask you guys about what happens with the new 38 CFR when the VA proposes new changes. Am I grandfathered in? Am I all this stuff? Well, here is what's going to happen. So let's just say the example was given. A veteran was rated at 30% for GERD before the schedule change, right? Under the new rating, that one condition could be rated at 0. If the veteran's condition remained unchanged and still meets the criteria for 30% rating under the old schedule, then he's going to remain at 30. But if the veteran's condition improves to the point where he would only qualify for a 10% rating under the old criteria, the VA may apply the new criteria, which would actually be 0. So with sleep apnea, like we no longer have like 10%, you know what I mean? Like it's 0, 30, 50, whatever. So if you get called back and you can show that your symptoms still meet the criteria for 30, 50 or whatever, then you're fine. But if your condition has improved and you have to be lower to 10%, but under the new law, there is no 10%, you're going to be dropped down to 0. So That's how it's working.
Okay. All honesty, do you really think those 30% guys with GERD are going to get called in?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But
what I would say,
they
out of my-
can be called in. Like that's a gamble. Like I'm not a
Yes.
gambling woman, but they can.
yes, lots of things can happen.
Right.
But we also got to think of like how much would they really be serving themselves by spending time on that when there's other things that they'd
Leave it
much rather
alone.
have their time on. That right.
Leave it alone.
That's just not saying because we think like them. It's just they got bigger things that they would like to do than fucking go after that, which will expire as motherfuckers are dying anyway. You know, that's
Right.
life. We're all fucking decaying. It
Right.
is what it is. So it'll
Yes.
die off on its own. I bet you they're not going to give a shit about that. What I will say in my unprofessional, uneducated, on anything opinion is, if you do have 30% for GERD, you should think twice before you go and try and get your percentage fucking increased. Because that's when they might just check on your shit and they might just update it to the new things.
Correct.
You know? Just throwing that out there because that is something we have brought up. That is something that happens pretty commonly. Just know that when you refile to increase, they reevaluate every motherfucking thing on there. So
They do. And there's no protection like, oh, I've been rated at 10%. They can't sever it. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. They can sever it to the point where it would be below. There's like the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year rule. But protection. So if you're 100%, you already know that you can't be reduced without any clear evidence of improvement. But yes, you can be reduced. If you're at 10 years, it's just it can't be severed. So if you were at like 50% and then you tried for an increase and you went to 70, and then 2 years later you get called back and they're like, you know what? We don't want your 70. We think even though you've had it for 10 years, you've improved. We're going to go back to 50. They can't ever go below what you've already been rated. So they can't go below the lowest rating that you've ever had. So if you went to 10, 30, 50, 90, they can bring you all the way back to 10, but they can never sever it. Unless, of course, it's fraud. Anything under fraud is fair game. The VA can be like, no, fuck you. You didn't deserve it, you know? So just because you have 10, 20 years does not mean that you cannot be reduced.
cool.
So just be careful.
I'm glad you explained that because you know we are so driven to panic that
I know.
and
I
that's
know.
why I said, hey, Allie, because my real opinion is shut the fuck up. Don't fucking pay a goddamn bit of attention to this. Who gives a fuck? They're not going to come after your 30 fucking percent.
They do, but
Quit
people
freaking out.
They're afraid.
Right,
We're
but people they do fear monger, and it does create panic, and so that's why I said, like in all reality, like, do you really think they're going to go after that? No, it doesn't make sense to. They're gonna.
Right.
There's other things they're going to go after. Fraud, they're going to go after the dudes that are getting 100% that are fucking, setting world, shoulder press records. That fucking guy.
That fucking guy.
That
like
fucking
he
guy.
deserves
We had this guy in
$20.
it's this guy we found a couple years ago. He was a professional power lifter that had zero ability to raise either hand or arm whatsoever above his shoulders. And he had like a press world record, bro. The motherfucker was like the definition of like the most extreme.
And they found him on social media because he was like bragging about it. And he's like, bro, like is he in jail? I wonder.
He did like 17 months, I want to say 17, 18 months.
In federal prison?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Can you imagine?
This is so off the top of my head, Allie. I want to say it was 17 or 18 months, and he had a hell of a fucking restitution.
Yes, I remember. Like, can you imagine you're in federal prison with some of the country's worst fucking criminals, and like, what do you in for? Benefits fraud.
Yeah, benefits fraud with
like,
VA.
Oh
my fucking god! Anyway, Allie, you got about 1 minute. What do you think about fucking Tim Kennedy? 60 seconds is counting down.
I don't have TV and I don't really follow the media. I don't know anything about him. What am I
He claimed that he had a Bronze Star with Valor, and he had to come out and say that was a fucking lie. He does not have a Bronze Star with Valor. Tim Kennedy's also like been suspect for many little phishing stories.
Stop it.
So here's what I brought up. I want to do my bring up real quick.
She's GTSing
I want to know
now.
why. I want to know why inside of our veterans we have a tendency, because it's a lot more than one to tell fishing stories, even when there's no fucking reason. Tim Kennedy has no reason to exaggerate his fucking story.
The
It's
Green
good enough.
Beret, Tim Kennedy?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah. All right. Well, then I had some funnies. You should read it. We'll talk about it again next week. I'll hear it after you read some shit. But he came out publicly and apologized.
You know what? Like, even if you served as a fucking cook, right? Because
That's
what you just said.
literally what I said. I was like, I don't care if you're a fucking cook who never deployed.
You're better than the 1%.
Yes, you're the fucking man. You're the fucking man. Just say what you are.
We need to eat, right? So, like, and I hate
Yeah.
that, like,
Hardest job in the military.
As if we're like, how much respect am I going to give you based on your MOS? No, fuck you. We all like to eat, so we all respect our
And
fucking
they're also,
cooks, right?
I will go down in flames saying the hardest working MOS in the military is the fucking cooks.
They work,
Their life
so
sucks.
fucking
They work
hard.
so fucking hard. They work the worst fucking
And they're
hours. They work all the fucking
underappreciated.
holidays.
Yes.
Everybody talks shit to them. Fuck that. Like,
as
that's
if
the worst
like
job.
the MOS is not to be appreciated.
Yep.
But
So
I
you know
remember
what?
some of the best feelings of like when you're in the field and you see the fucking hot A's arriving and you're like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. Like, we all love
Thank
to
you.
fucking eat, but so why do we treat our cooks like trash? Not
Right.
we. I know. I fucking love them, right?
Yeah, and again, when you're with a bunch of fucking civilians, they don't know the difference between what the fuck
No,
acronym
they
you're saying
don't.
anyway. You say, I was in the military. Oh, is that fuck badass? Yeah, bro.
I was a cook on, not me, but like, I was a cook on the USS Enterprise. Do you know how many fucking sailors and Marines are on the fucking Enterprise? And you fed all those fucking people? Like, that's not something to be like, oh, I was just a cook. No, fuck you, dude. You were a cook. You fed them.
So either way, why does even our top tier operators feel the need to fucking blatantly lie about a Bronze Star of Valor?
It's right? It's that men fucking ego. It's like, I gotta be the fucking alpha. Like, look how big my dick is. I did this. Like, that's
I agree with dude. Men have some very common fucking sick traits, and that's one of them.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me like.
I thought Star Trek.
I immediately went stuck in Star Trek books.
So I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some reading. I mean, either way.
No, you got to read because it's craziness. But
now is he in the same category as our Purple Heart friend?
No, and you know why?
Why?
Because the second it fucking came out, he had, I don't want to even say intestinal fortitude. He had a cunt hair of intelligence to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Joel Hunt still fucking stands up and goes, I have a Purple Heart, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Well, a lie is a lie, right?
Yes, a lie is a lie, but the way that you come out of it is
at least he took accountability. At least
yes. In which did he have a choice? Fuck no. Did Joel Hunt have a choice? Fuck no. And he still didn't. Like, that blows me away, bro. Like, you get called out. You don't have one. Show your DD-214. I can't. Somebody has to look out after it for me. I can't show it. Get the fuck out of here, bro. All right, we're out, Allie. We're gonna run over, and Rob's not here, and I'll get in trouble. Night,
okay.
love you, bye.
Guys.
Okay, it's your time.
My time.
At this time, I sign out. The last thing that happens is you read that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming tonight. We're gonna end our show with "Never Forgotten." Please, before you lay your head down tonight, remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for us and our freedom. And don't break Junior's balls too much for how terrible of a reader he is. He went to
public school.
He went to public school. No, you didn't, you private school fucker.
I went to private school for 3 years. All right. Tonight's Never Forgotten. Marine Corporal Justin J. Kane. I can. I'm trying to find the part where my dad also reads it. He reads. Wisconsin Marine killed in Hemland IED blast. Manitowoc, Wisconsin. A 22-year-old Marine corporal from Manitowoc. 3 other members of his battalion died during combat October 13th in southern Afghanistan, according to a Marine corporal spokesman. Corporal Justin J. Kane, 22, was among those killed. The Department of Defense announced October 14th he is a 2007 graduate of Manitowoc's Lincoln High School and enlisted in the Marines June 9th, 2007. His battalion has been stationed in Afghanistan since September. Faster. Since September. After shipping there from Camp Pendleton, California, according to Corporal Nola Zachary of the 1st Marine Division Public Affairs Office. All right.